Welcome back to the Raw Selection Private Equity Podcast. Joining us today is Steve Carroll, Chief Executive and co-founder of Kelso Industries, a commercial HVAC services company backed by private equity. Steve's going to dive into his experiences of his first acquisition right through to just recently closing his 25th with Kelso Industries. But he's also going to dive into his experience of working at Walmart, scaling a business from 15 million in EBITDA to 250 million in EBITDA. This is an exceptional journey, so strap in. Steve, if you can give us a brief insight into you, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Alex, for having me here today. Little bit about my background. I grew up in a small rural farming town, blue collar town in Oregon. Followed that background into a construction management degree and construction career. Loved building and growing and being a part of the process of a project coming to life. And really enjoyed being out in the field and learning. There's just so much to learn in construction and building and all of the systems that we use in our buildings. Enjoyed that for a number of years before I made a little bit of a career pivot, went back to graduate school, got an MBA, and spent a number of years at Walmart corporate learning a variety of opportunities and being a part of a variety of opportunities in leadership development, growth, and developing and growing a number of exciting divisions that are still a key part of Walmart's strategy. And a number of years there, but always had the entrepreneurial bug and wanted to go eventually build what is now Kelso. And I'm excited to share more about what we're doing here and share more about our goals and vision.
Perfect. What's one mistake that you see either private equity firms or portfolio companies making, and what would you suggest to correct them?
One mistake that I see private equity firms making is copying each other and doing the same exact thing that all of the other groups are doing. Seems like that's a very common strategy in private equity is find something that 3 or 4 other PE firms are doing good at and copy exactly what they're doing and try to do it as faster than they are and bid up the prices on assets, doing a roll up in that space.
Like it. So what would you suggest that maybe private equity firms do differently?
Well, I think there's different angles and approaches. I think there's tons of opportunities in other industries that are untapped for various private equity targets. I think there's it just becomes a bit of a rinse and repeat, kind of going after the same markets over and over, or all going after the same markets that I think can cause the biggest problems with deals and frenzies and markets, and that trickles all the way down into the businesses when everybody's rolling up in a particular industry and it's a frenzy. There's labor shortages and everyone's raising labor rates at a crazy unhealthy pace that makes it hard for everybody to have a good, successful outcome. I think there's a first mover advantage to doing that, and PE firms should try to be the first mover a little more often, even though I know that's a little more risky and not necessarily what PE likes to do.
Absolutely. And so Kelso operates in the HVAC services space, highly fragmented, high interest from private equity currently, difficult to stand out. What are you guys doing differently to separate yourselves at Kelso?
Yeah, so our story is a little bit different. My business partner and I, Steve Nicholson, we grew up together. We met in 4th grade at Kelso Elementary School. It's where the name of our company, Kelso, comes from. And so there's a deep sense of relationship and history and trust that we developed over many years. We were even roommates in college. He spent his career in investment banking and private equity after college. And so for us, rather than trying to do 10 or 15 different deals, we decided to focus on Kelso and make that our deal. Um, we see the opportunity with Kelso as a multi-billion dollar opportunity. So I think the big difference for us is we learned that if we go deep and develop a long-term strategy for Kelso, I think we have a better opportunity for the best outcome because we're all in. We're using all of our faculties and our network and our knowledge to bring the capital together and bring the partners together to grow our ultimate strategy.
Perfect. So when we say longer term strategy, when you say all in, let's dive into the actual processes, systems, what you've implemented that creates a level of difference.
Yeah. So when we first started, Steve and I we wanted to buy a business, an HVAC business. We didn't quite have everything figured out. But we got the resources together and we decided to go focus on buying a business. And we were able to find a business in Arizona, the first business that we started with. I picked up my family from Arkansas and moved all the way to Arizona, convinced my wife and kids this was the right thing to do, and again, went all in on this strategy. The two owners there, the husband and wife that ran the business, though, they were all in on their business, but they wanted to sell and leave. And we in a very naive manner thought we could step in there, step into their shoes, step into their relationships, and basically just keep the business going. And I think that's kind of the dream of many entrepreneurship through acquisition individuals is just buy business and step into it and everything's all good. We learned that was not exactly an easy thing to do from many different angles, and I'd be happy to go on and on about that. But we learned what all can go wrong, and it seemed like so much of it did go wrong for us. And we learned the industry very quickly, had to sink or swim, and didn't get a single acquisition and a follow-on acquisition done for another year after that first one because we just barely made it. We had so many things to learn about the basics of this industry, and frankly, recovering from some tough things that happened during COVID and just the transition process of taking over a business from a husband and wife that ran the business for over 20 years and very successfully ran it. And that opened up the door for us to realize we have to do something different. If our strategy is to just go buy a bunch of these companies and put them together, this is not going to work. I'm working 100 hours a week just trying to keep the lights on, keep things going. And we looked at a number of companies to buy in Texas and California and Utah and all over. And I'm like, mentally, emotionally, physically, completely tapped out running one business and just didn't see any sort of opportunity to do more. But we want to grow, and this thing is just totally tapped out. And so that's when we stumbled into what we do now that we think is different, is where we focus on partnership.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. Just a quick mention of a long-standing partnership with Grata. As you will probably know, the private equity scene is constantly evolving, and deal flow is moving now to proprietary and data-driven processes. Grata provides you with the data and information of over 7 million private companies. So if you're looking to improve your proprietary deal flow and improve the data access, then reach out to Grata today. Now back to the podcast. So talk to, when you say focus on partnership, how are you framing that? How are you structuring that aside from what you got as traditional acquisition?
Yeah, so in on the commercial side of this business, we're focused on commercial and industrial. We don't do residential. And on the commercial side of this business, it's B2B. It's, yes, general contractors, but it's also building owners and factories and data centers. And there's a lot of owner direct in this business. And there's a level of trust that you need to have that is um, hard to hard to just put down onto paper. And we learned that these relationships go very deep into the relationships with the customers, the relationships with the employees, the relationships with vendors and the community, and you just can't replace that in any type of private equity manner successfully, I feel, without major turnover and major risk. And so with partnership for us, what we found is I'll tell another quick story. Our second acquisition, we were visiting someone who's now our partner in Idaho. His name's Pancho, and we were visiting him, and we said, "Hey, we want to buy your business." And he says, "Whoa, no, actually, I don't want to sell my business. I love what I do here. I love the people. This is my family, is, to use his words." And we said, "Okay, well, we hear you on that." And we flew up there to meet him, and we offered him this concept of partnership of, "Hey, well, we want to buy your business. We'll give you a bunch of money up front, but we won't give all of it to you up front. We want you to have some skin in the game and some equity in the long-term vision of what we're trying to build. So why don't we give you a partial cash at close, and the rest of it's going to be, long-term incentive and equity in Kelso." And I remember he looked over to us and me, and he said, "I'll do it." And I remember thinking, "Oh my goodness, okay, so he wants to keep running the business. He's a great operator, loves his people, has great relationships, and he sees the vision of what we're trying to do, wants to be a part of it. And he's still running that business. He's still a great partner of ours, and somebody we can count on. And that is what we have replicated now and continue to replicate for a total of 25 total of these so far. 25 acquisitions, partnerships, and we look for leaders to run these businesses to become partners with us. And we think of all of our leaders and managers and people that are part of our teams as partners too. So we think there's a lot of value of treating our team beyond just employees and giving them a path to a brighter future and a part of Kelso for the long term. And it's working really well with some folks that want to sell their business. And the folks that want to sell their business and go sit on the beach and leave, they don't want to sell to us. And that's not necessarily who we want to partner with, because we want to have that longevity.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So obviously growth for the business. You mentioned a lot of acquisitions there. Referenced just before we hit live, for congratulations on your recent 25th acquisition. So I want to dive into that journey. Integration is a challenge using your kind of partnership model as you've explained it. What have you learned along the way? What would you do differently now you're at number 25 from when you're at number 2 or 3?
Yeah, so integration's a great topic in private equity, and now I think we have a much better model of how to handle it. Early on, we didn't have any resources. It was just me and Steve Nicholson, and didn't have a whole lot to offer from an integration standpoint or even support. So today, what's great is we have functional support at the Kelso level for companies that join us that I wish we could have had earlier on. It just, timing wasn't always right. So we have financial management and accounting and CPA leadership inside of Kelso that are our employees and key leaders of our team that dive into and support individual companies as they join Kelso. Not every company needs as much help as the next. Some of the bigger companies that join Kelso have a lot of this built into their business, but many that join do not, and they could use some support on how to handle the complexities of a very complex finance and cash intense business that we're in. So finance is a really key element that we bring to the table from an integration standpoint in systems. A lot of different systems in our space for the back office, but also in the field. We bring a lot of integration support to all of the systems from payroll, time management, fleet management, accounting, and beyond. There's just a ton of systems that we're able to bring support to. Legal in our space, that's kind of a big deal. There's just a lot of contracts. It's a B2B environment. A lot of our clients are utilizing legal resources for making these agreements, and we do as well. And just looking out for ourselves, looking out for our partners, and making it a win-win with our customer base. We have those legal resources in-house now. HR, we're a people-heavy business. We are approaching 3,000 employees all across our organization. And we have, all sorts of field staff, office staff. We're recruiting heavily. If you go look on our LinkedIn and our job boards, we have many jobs we're recruiting for. We have recruiting staff that's Kelso employees supporting many of those positions and making sure the companies have HR generalist support to solve various HR ins and outs in our space. Operational leadership's a newer one for us. We've basically listened to our partners and said, hey, what do you need? What are you looking for that we could do better? And it's evolved from all these things I've mentioned. And one of the new things we're really excited about is to be able to offer more cross-selling opportunities to our clients, because we're building an MEP platform for our clients to be able to make one phone call. And a number of markets now inside of the United States, we have mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, and the plus, MEP plus is what we like to call it. So what the client may need from a critical systems standpoint, we want to be that one phone call. So operationally, we're building more community and more support centers of excellence and divisions for our companies to be able to work together and partner with the rest of Kelso to bring the best possible solutions to our clients. So that's what we're doing from an integration standpoint right now. Not that long ago, we didn't have those things. And so for us, getting to scale was important to be able to offer some of these integration resources and support our partners. Many of them have been asking for these things for a long time, and we haven't quite been able to deliver up until recently.
Not only am I the host of the Private Equity Podcast, but I'm also the founder and managing partner of Raw Selection. Raw Selection is a private equity specialist executive search firm with two divisions, one that focuses on portfolio, C-suite executive hires, and one that focuses on private equity direct hires of the back office and investment deal professionals to the industry. Alongside the podcast, we're passionate about giving back to the industry and giving people information that they can run and utilize. One thing we do regularly every year is we run salary reports on accurate and live data of people that we've interviewed and people that have shared their information with us. So if you're looking to compare your current compensation or your compensation for your next hire in your private equity firm or portfolio company, then please check out our YouTube channel and see the playlist of salary surveys. A lot of operators that we speak to, whether they've been at the foundation of the business or they've joined later on, they tend to have a lot of, well, maybe not a lot, but a few kind of light bulb moments where I wish we'd just done it this way the whole time. Slight pivot, a big pivot. What's one of those for you where you just go, how have I been such an idiot? Why didn't I just do this before? Why didn't I know this before? And then that runway just becomes a little bit easier.
Yeah. So many. Which ones do I share is probably the bigger question. If you were to ask me this question going back, partnership, I keep mentioning it. It's our first core value. It is kind of like a aha, but oh man, why didn't we try to do this so much sooner? It's gotten easier as we've gotten bigger because we can offer more. So I certainly would have loved to have figured that out sooner than a year after we got into this business. Um, I think investing in finance is another one. Probably a lot of private equity folks listening to this would say, well, yeah, of course, that's what you do. But in bringing the right finance talent that understands the nuances and can learn quickly the nuances of the industry is a bit of an aha for me because a lot of our partners kind of get by with third party bookkeeper resources, and that might work for a smaller business, but at the size that we're growing to and beyond, it's just so much more complex than that. And managing capital and reporting and all those things that the needs are quite different. But then, having the right finance resources actually in turn helps the companies look at their business in a different way and helps them improve so they can win more work and be more profitable. Um, I'd say the third one that I'm very, very excited about that is recent aha, probably a recent aha for a lot of us, is just the massive growth that's going on in the data center space. We have a number of our businesses involved in the data center space now, and we have a division that's focused on it. There's the new construction that's going on because there's so much building. But something I'm very excited about is the growth for retrofitting these and supporting these buildings after they're built. And we're in a very good position to grow our business in that space because of what we built, because of the talent, the tools, the engineering, the fabrication, and really all the pieces we're putting together, and we're starting to scale that to be able to support some of these clients that have massive needs coming up very, very soon with liquid to chip cooling, and all the emerging technologies that are going on in this space. That's kind of a recent aha that I'm very, very excited about. Our team's very excited about, and we're starting to capture more and more of that right now.
Good. Thank you for sharing the insights there. With just jumping back a little bit further in your career, you referenced on your LinkedIn Walmart. So obviously, very different business, I'm assuming, unless it was a division I'm not familiar with from a Walmart perspective. Grew the business from 15 million to 250 million in EBITDA. I'm not going to let you leave without telling us a bit about that story and what we can glean from that, because revenue perspective, that's exceptional. EBITDA perspective, that's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. When I was at Walmart, I found that company to be such an amazing place to work because there's the numbers are so huge. This is a 600 plus billion-dollar business, international business, and so if you had ambition, you could find yourself into a number of different areas, different trends, different opportunities that just you would never get anywhere else. And so I started my career in the marketing department over there and found myself into a number of different areas in products and merchandising and retail. And while I was there, I started to see some interesting things going on where um, um, in retailers, there's a kind of a latent opportunity to monetize eyeballs and foot traffic.
Mhm.
You can look at the media companies and they're really good at monetizing eyeballs and foot traffic. And when I was at Walmart, I got more and more excited about it. I got involved in a business that they had bought and sold after I left called Voodoo. They've rebranded it as Fandango, but we started, me and a small group there started a new business unit that monetized the eyeballs at Voodoo, turned that into a multi-million dollar business, which allowed them to sell the Fandango for a great outcome. Um, but then Walmart.com and Sam's Club are these other business units that started to have even more opportunity to monetize. And I think the takeaway for me that was really exciting, and I think a lot of private equity groups can take away from this, is just looking outside of the box. Walmart is a retail and e-commerce company, but this business unit now, they call it retail media, is now a multi-billion dollar business unit. That if Walmart would have said, we are only a retail business, they would have missed a multi-billion dollar business unit that produces huge EBITDA, huge. There's basically no cost of goods sold in the advertising space. And so I latched onto that trend pretty early and helped push the organization at Sam's Club. That was where the growth from 15 to 250 came from, is convincing the organization there that this was something worthy of investing in and allowing us to go do it. And we did it. We developed a number of products that advertisers like Coca-Cola and the biggest brands in the world wanted and were desperate for, to drive more sales and to make sure they kept market share so their competition didn't buy into. And so um, that's something I'm very proud of. I love personally looking for areas that others are under investing in and underdeveloped areas, and bringing my passion and love for growth to the table, and just the unquenching desire to go figure it out and grow it. And that's what we did at Sam's Club. In fact, my boss, he's at Walgreens now doing the same thing to help them grow that business. But I use that same passion with Kelso every day. It's a different industry, but if you have passion for what you're doing, I believe you can learn anything.
Nice. And why the switch to HVAC services? Why that transition?
Yeah, so I grew up in a blue collar environment. I worked in construction. You know, you could get involved into so many different things, but I loved when I was in construction, I loved being a part of HVAC and electrical, and plumbing too. I mean, these are mission critical systems for a building, but if you screw it up, the building is worthless. You can do nothing with that building. So the equipment that's involved, the technology, the innovation, the growth, the people in this industry tend to be the smartest people on the job site. I spent almost all of my time with this part of the team during the process of building or remodeling or retrofitting for my customers, and I loved it. And so when it came time to think about what was I going to go do, it was not going to be paint. It was not going to be drywall or carpet. I had to get back into the industry I was so passionate in.
Excellent. And so, what are your influences, Steve? What do you read, watch, listen to that you recommend others check out?
Somebody that I am very, very excited to see more of what he's doing is Brad Jacobs. He's out there. He just acquired, or they're closing, I think, this month on a large roofing supply business called Beacon. It's a take private. I am fascinated by what he's doing. I love, if anybody could help me get introduced to him, I would absolutely love the chance to meet him. But he's done a number of roll ups. He has a book out there I love. I've read it a bunch of times. I look up to him greatly for what he's doing. Um, I take a lot of inspiration from a number of places, but I'd say Brad Jacobs is pretty high on my list right now.
Which book was it you've read? I've just Googled him. I don't know him actually, so appreciate the
Yeah,
introduction.
the book I believe is called How to Make a Few Billion Dollars.
Easy as that. I love the name of that book. That's cool. Anyone else you'd recommend?
Um, Nobody else off the top of my head right now.
Either Brad Jacobs. That sounds good enough for me. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, Steve, post this podcast, how best do they get in touch, please?
Yeah, that you can reach out to me on my LinkedIn. I'm always available. I'm always commenting and connecting with folks, and I love to give back to the community for folks that want to take a career path in entrepreneurship through acquisition. That was my career path, corporate to ETA, and love to help folks that want to grow in their careers. That's something I'm really excited about and passionate about with Kelso. Come join us. We're doing amazing things with technology and leveraging all the latest private equity techniques to grow our business. We want to become a public company and beyond. We think there's so much opportunity ahead. So please reach out to me. I'd love to connect.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And thank you for joining us, Steve, giving us the insight into Walmart growth. 15 million, 250 million EBITDA is absolutely exceptional. And obviously the growth of Kelso Industries, 25th acquisition, and everything else you've gone through. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you very much for everybody yet again for tuning in to the Private Equity Podcast. Till the next time, keep smashing it. And thank you very much for listening.